Hello, I'm Harlow, and welcome back to my channel and to the second episode of Cosmetics and Classics. Oh, it is early in the morning, but we are here. Before we begin this episode, please like and subscribe to the channel, and before, again, we start this video, I just have to say thank you so much to everyone who supported my first video on 1953's Gentlemen for Blondes, and if you are interested in watching that video after you watch this video, of course, I will link that down below. And if you are interested in watching Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, you can find Gentlemen for Blondes to stream on Hulu, and I believe if you have Criterion at the moment, you can stream Gentlemen on Criterion, but you know, things come and go on Criterion, so it might not be there, but it is on Hulu, and you can also rent it on Apple and Amazon. And on YouTube. I am just so thankful to everyone who saw that just who watched the video, but also to those who liked and subscribed. I really did not expect to get, the last time I checked, we were at 91 subscribers, which is crazy to me for a first video. If I got like 22, I don't know why 22. I know that's like a very, like, why 22? Why not just 20? I just said to myself, if I could get 22, I will be happy. So the fact that I got 91 subscribers means so much. So thank you to everyone who subscribed. Thank you to all my friends who have just been so lovely to me and been nothing but supportive. I am truly appreciative to all of you. And if this is your first video seeing me, bonjour, c'est pas. Now, let's jump into this episode. I am so excited to discuss this film. We are going back 20 years from 1953 to 1933, and we are going to be discussing I'm No Angel, starring the one and only Mae West. Oh. So, if you did not see my first video, let me introduce myself and to this channel. I am Harlow. I am a vintage style and classic film content creator, and on this channel I host a series called Cosmetics and Classics, where I put on my makeup while discussing a film made between the silent era and the year 1980. Now, typically I would be doing a makeup and be wearing something that would be more fitting for the film that we are about to discuss. However, planning has not been my strongest suit. By the way, also very sorry this video took a long time from my first video. I started a new gig. I have had some, depression is real. Depression is real. OCD is real. OCD is very real. And also, it's just been a crazy time for all of us. So, for all of us, literally. I mean, we're still in the pandorama. Sorry this took a while. I will be better about uploading. Eventually, I would like to get to a place where I upload twice a month. I want to get to that rather sooner than later. So, yeah. Sorry it took so long. But if you know me, it is very on brand for me to be late. It is very on brand for me to be late. But we're here. Or as Mae would say, we're here. Aww. If you're not familiar with 1933's I'm No Angel, let me describe it for you with a brief synopsis. So I'm No Angel stars Mae West as Tira, a circus performer who climbs the ladder of success while meeting a few, fellas along the way, with some catchy phrases that we know Mae West for. I think that describes this movie pretty accurately. Yeah. Is it the most, intellectual synopsis you've ever heard? No. Is it me? Yes. And this is my channel, so, I wanted to talk about I'm No Angel because, well, it's the summer. The summertime, scorching, and Mae West, scorching. So, there you go. Oh, we're going to be doing that a lot. Oh. Alright, so we are going to talk about the facts and figures of this movie and then jump into the movie, and through this process, I'll be doing my makeup. Disclaimer, I am not a makeup artist. I am just your grandpa's young bimbo that likes to lay up in the manse, but instead of painting on a canvas, they paint their face. And today, again, I would have done a makeup that would have matched the film that I would be discussing But you know what? Mae West has other movies, so I'll do a Mae West style face at some point. Today, we are doing more of the makeup that we saw in our last video, a more 50s bombshell type aesthetic, which is pretty much my go-to when it comes to makeup. So let's jump into the film and start putting cosmetics on this face. God, I am gorgeous even without makeup. But I love makeup. I feel better when I wear it. So I'm about to open my eyeshadow primer, which is Urban Decay. And I forgot to also say sorry for, I have a fan on. I love y'all. I love y'all, but baby. I am thousands of years old, and I am in a sweaty mess, and it's summer in New York. I'm keeping the fan on. If you hear it, I want to say sorry, but I'm putting makeup on. I can't sweat while I put makeup on. Ugh. But we digress. So I Know Angel was released by Paramount Pictures in 1933, and the movie stars Mae West, Cary Grant, yes, already big players, George Radoff, Edward Arnold, Ralph Harold, Gertrude Michaels, and Gertrude Howard. That's right. Oh wait, is it Michaels or Michael? Oh, it's Michael, Gertrude Michaels, singular, not plural. I do remember that much. And yes, this is a movie from the 30s, darling. There's going to be a couple actresses named Gertrude. And if you don't stand Gertrudes on this, then this channel is not for you. Because we stand the Gerties in this house. Let's let the Gerties Gert. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? We love a Gertie. We love a Gertie. Let's talk about Mae West. Let's talk about Mae West. So, I Know Angel, in my opinion, and I haven't actually discussed this a lot with a lot of people, but I feel like they would feel the same way as I do, which is I Know Angel is Mae West's magnum opus. So this was her third film she did. Mae West, had a very interesting rise to fame. So Mae West started in vaudeville, as most performers did during this time. The character of Mae West, the persona of Mae West, really did take major slow burn build-up. She started performing in vaudeville with elements of burlesque. She was very inspired by a performer named Lillian Russell, and that's really when the seed of the persona that we know today, the iconic persona, really started to be planted. And that persona grew and grew and grew as Mae grew as both a performer and a writer. Mae went to Broadway. She made it all the way to the Big White Way. And she wrote and starred in her own plays. And these plays were highly controversial. Highly controversial. The reason why the plays were highly controversial is because of the subject matter. Mae really did not shy away from things that you were not supposed to talk about in the 1920s, such as sex, which was the name of the play that made her very, very infamous in not just New York, but around the country. In fact, Mae even went to prison for the play sex because, well, I don't think I have to really tell y'all what the play was about based on the title. Mae served about a week and a half in prison, but when you asked her about it later in interviews, she basically is like, it was just a vacation. She got to wear all her, like, regular clothes. She had dinner with the warden and his wife. I think she might even been allowed to leave. It's very telling of privilege. You know what I mean? Mae West's stay in prison, if you really look that up and listen to her, it's like, oh, there is privilege within the prison system. There always has been, always will be. She definitely benefited from it based on her status as a famous actress and playwright and just all-around performer. But Mae wrote other plays too that were controversial. One was called The Drag, which was about gayness. Mae West's relationship with queer people is very interesting because she is a gay icon. Like, you cannot argue that. And she went on interviews talking about The Drag. There's an interview with Dick Cavett, I'll link down below, where she talks about, in quotes, glorifying the homosexual in her play The Drag. Although she also said some things that were quite homophobic. So do with that with what you will. And the play that really shot her to fame was a play called Diamond Lil, where she starred as Diamond Lil. And this is the character that we know today. This is Mae West. Like, this is the persona that we know. When she wrote Diamond Lil and played Diamond Lil, it was a smashing hit on Broadway. And it made Mae West a huge star. She went from infamous to an actual star on Broadway. And because all her plays were getting shut down very quickly because of the subject matter, and Diamond Lil became a huge hit. And like I said, Diamond Lil is Mae West's persona. Like, when we talk about is that a gun in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me, come on up, better be looked over than overlooked, or is it overlooked or looked over? That's who we know her as. It's Diamond Lil. And then Mae went out to Hollywood. She had a very small role in a film called Night After Night. And this was not a Mae West vehicle, but my God, did our Leo Queen make it a Mae West vehicle within just like a few lines, a few snappy lines that she came up with herself. So Mae, or I think she came up with herself. It sounds like she did. So the line that really shot her to stardom in Hollywood and got everyone's attention was, there's one scene where Mae is in a coat check, and a woman comes up to her and says, "Goodness, those diamonds," because she's like decked. And Mae looks at her and goes very quick, without even like missing a beat. Mae goes, "Goodness had nothing to do with it, dearie." Like in 1932, hearing that, people lost their you-know-what over that, in a good way. And Paramount decided to sign her to a contract. And I Know Angel was her third film. So she made Night After Night, and then She Done Him Wrong came out. We will eventually talk about She Done Him Wrong in another video one day. Maybe I'll do a Mae West face in that video. Yeah, that's probably where to do it for. And She Done Him Wrong was a huge hit. It was nominated for Best Picture of 1933. And that same year is when I Know Angel came out. And as I said, this is her magnum opus. To me, this is the movie that holds up the best. It's the movie that I think was the final film that was critically and commercially beloved. Let's put it like that. And I will get into the reason why it became like that, why it was like that, but yeah, this was really the last one in her, like, in the peak of her film career, that it was very commercially and critically successful. Sorry about that. I stepped away for a minute to do my eyeliner. Eyeliner is still not my friend. We are deaf frenemies for life. However, I'm pretty happy with this. I recently learned from my friend Hadley, who has been my makeup dad, as I love to call her. I learned that I have a hooded eye, and she sent me some tutorials of how to do eyeliner on a hooded eye. And so back to Mae. So Mae, as I said, signed a deal with Paramount, and this movie, I Know Angel, was her third film, and, you know, as I said, magnum opus, solidified her place as not just a movie star, but as a full-on Hollywood legend. Between She Done Him Wrong and I Know Angel, she never made a movie again. She still would be Mae effing West, because these are where all the lines come from. And this movie in particular, lines like, "Come on up and see me. When I'm good, I'm very good, but when I'm bad, I'm better. Beulah." Wait, I like to do it with my Mae impression. I know it's not that great, but let me be. Let me live. Let me live. Isn't my shirt cute? Isn't it really cute? It's from Mischief Made Me. I'll link the link below because I love Mischief, and Mischief has been nothing but $1.50 to me. So yes, I want to support them. And I just love this. Oh, so cute. Ooh. So yes, Mae truly, from this movie and the movie before, solidified her status as an icon. And watching her in this movie, I'll talk about it throughout this film, but it made me realize how much she really means to me as a person, and how much she has inspired not just my attitude, but like, yeah, she has inspired me more than I even really give her credit for. She's not usually the first person I'm like, oh, they inspired me. But she really should kind of be. Yeah. And this movie is also a big deal for Cary Grant, because this was his second film with Mae West. Mae actually discovered him when Mae was looking to cast a man for her leading male role, and she done him wrong. She was in the Paramount offices looking at some glossies of some men. She couldn't find anyone. And the story goes, she was looking out her window, just looking out the window, just like, and she sees Cary Grant walking, and whoever she's with is like, him. I want him. And they're like, oh, he's new. Like, we're just testing him out with some girls for contracts. And she's like, well, if he talks as good as he looks, I'll have him. Oh. And she did. And then she casted him again, and I'm no angel, because in her own words, he was so good the first time, I had to have him again. I'm going to probably be adding a lot of hmms and ahs at anything I say that Mae West said, even if she didn't. It just feels fitting. It just feels fitting. The movie was directed by Wesley Ruggles, which I love the name. In Houston, where I was born and fed, there is a restaurant called Ruggles Cafe. Highly recommend. Highly recommend. Very, very good. Can I remember what I like there? No, because it's been forever. But delectable. Absolutely. Absolutely delectable. But we digress. Now, this movie was, and if you have seen this movie, or if you're going to see this movie, you'll see in the title cards, this movie says, story, thoughts, and everything written by, in big all caps letters, Mae West. And then it says, with suggestions from Harlan Thompson and Lowell Brentano. She wanted everyone to know. And she should, because those jokes, those one-liners, all the things that we quote from Mae West came from Mae West's mind. It came from her brain. It came from her noggin. It came from her thinking cap. Or in her case, a thinking tiara, because a diamond lil needs diamonds. Let's be real here. And she wanted people to know that. She wanted to have that credit. She deserved that credit, and she fought for that credit. And I think because of her infamy on Broadway and the fact that she was known as a playwright, she was able to come in and say, I'm not taking these men's jokes who don't know me. No, the only one who can write for Mae West is Mae West. And I think that was her strongest suit, was writing. Mae West, first and foremost, was a comedic genius. Creating that kind of persona is the same, I would say, I would put it on the level of Charlie Chaplin's Tramp. It just was so mind-blowing. Yeah, it's just mind-blowing what she did with that character and the things that she wrote. This movie is considered a pre-code film, which is why Mae was able to get away with the jokes that she had in this film, so if you're not familiar, pre-code was an era in Hollywood before the Hays Code, the production code, was put into place in Hollywood. And this code was basically the 10 Commandments of Hollywood. Basically said what you can and cannot show on film, especially when it came to race, when it came to sexuality. Can't say that word fully on YouTube, which, come on. Okay, Barbara, please. Wait, is that? Susan, please. Can we start saying words that we use in everyday life that aren't offensive? Come on. But we digress. The code had been around Hollywood for a while, but it hadn't been put in place. And when talking pictures started to happen in the late 20s, movies became super racy very quickly. And between, I would say, 1929 to 1933, keep in mind that is the year that this movie came out, film just got very, 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 did I say very, very racy. Especially when it came to sex. This is one of my favorite eras in film because it showed women being in control in a way that we had never seen before and we will not see again for decades. This movie is is high-key pre-code. High-key. And Mae West is the ultimate pre-code star. It's because she was allowed to be Mae West in this movie. She was allowed to basically date like a man, as, you know, people would say then, people would say now. Get over that. Let people date. And talk about sex in a way that, you know, was shocking, was taboo, but at the same time made people want to cackle about it. Because we should be able to cackle about sex, in my opinion. And I'm sure in your opinion, too. You know what I mean, man? And women, and all in between. So not only was this Paramount's biggest film of the year, but this was Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the President of the United States' favorite film. Which, I don't know, for me that's just very funny when, you know, these politicians are supposed to, like, be, you know, only family friendly, but then they come out and they're like, I love this sex comedy. Okay, we see you, Frank. We see ya. Fun fact, another pre-code film starring Jean Harlow called Redheaded Woman was banned in the UK, but the king had a copy of Redheaded Woman in Buckingham Palace for his own viewing. Again, but we digress. And this movie obviously went on to have a big legacy just solely because of Mae West. I don't think a lot of people today understand where her lines fully come from. Like, people know the lines, but they can't tell you which movie it came from. But either way, these lines have stood the test of time for 89 years. So, iconique, darling. And with that, let's start talking about the movie. So the movie opens up with title cards, as a movie wont to do. And the movie is set in, as I said, Tira is, aka Mae West, I'll be now calling her Tira because that is her character's name, works in a circus. She is both a lion tamer and what was known then as a shimmy dancer. And I'm probably sure you're like, Harlow, why would there be a shimmy dancer at a carnival/circus? That does not sound family friendly. Well, that is because carnivals, especially during the Great Depression, were not for families. That's right. Carnivals back then were adult entertainment. They were looked at as escapes for adults to get away, to just be kids again, which, let's bring that back. Let's bring back carnivals where they're not for kids. Like, you have to be 18 or over to enter, and adults can just be adulting. You know what I mean? Because the world is awful, and sometimes we just need to escape and feel youthful and innocent again. And yeah, I just think that we as adults need places like that to just let our hair loose, ride some rides, have some cotton candy, and then maybe see someone shimmy in some sequins, you know? And that's really where we meet Tira for the first time. She is, as I said, a shimmy dancer, which is like not a stripper, but not a burlesque performer, but kind of can fall under those lines depending on how far you're willing to go with your performances. Because I'm sure there were some shimmy dancers who did strip, who did take clothes off, who were more burlesque, traditional burlesque style performers. Even though this was pre-code, still it is the 30s, so we can't have, you know, full nudity in film quite yet. And the way that Mae makes her entrance is just classically Mae West. She has an announcer announce Tira, you know, Tira the Magnificent, Tira the Beautiful, Tira the Wild and Exotic, which LOL. And she comes out, in my opinion, one of the most iconic looks in cinematic history. She comes out in this gown that is fully sequined, but the way it's sequined, it just, the material looks nude. Like, she looks like she's wearing nothing but diamonds and sequins. Like, full-on showgirl. And it's this beautiful gown that hits the floor, but the way that all the accoutrements are placed is to make Mae look naked. And and the way that it goes down highlights certain areas of her body. As I said, she's a shimmy dancer, so she's going to wear something a little bit more scandalous. And for 1933, this was quite, let me try to do a little Edie. Quite the scandal, really. I can't do that. It's too early in the morning for me to do a little Edie impression. Oh, is it ever too early to do a little Edie impression? Comment below. So, Tira, then after she's introduced, and by the way, this also, like, shows off Mae West's walk, which was very famous. Fun fact, Mae West mostly wore full-length gowns to hide the fact she was wearing 8 to 10-inch heels. That's right, 8 to 10-inch heels. She wore those stilts even when she was geriatric. When I say Mae West committed to the bit, Mae West committed to the bit. And I gotta give it up to her because that really, like, as someone who is in there, and like, I'm in my, as I like to say, I'm 25 again for the billionth time. I've honestly lost count. One of my friends was like, how many times have you turned 25? And I literally had to look at my birth year and like do the math because I forgot. But we digress. I can only wear like a sensible kitten heel, you know, and she's out here just like, and that's why she strutted, because she was trying not to fall. And it's just, I mean, it just shows the dedication. And when you look into Mae West and find out that like she had her like shape built into her dresses, so she could just put them on and it would automatically give her the Mae West, you know, body. You know, it shows the dedication she had to being Mae West. I love it. I stand. And Mae West performs her shimmy number, and she sings a song called Sister Honky Tonk. And the lyrics go something like, I've got the face of a saint, on a level it ain't paint. Look at these eyes, I'm a devil in disguise. But they call me Sister Honky Tonk. You know, I'm an old country music fan, and one thing I have noticed is that when a woman is referred to like as a honky tonk woman, that usually means she is a quote-unquote loose woman. Her morals are a little questionable. And I think that's what this song is basically about, of having a woman who has questionable morals, and does she really even care? I think you know. I think you know if she really does care. She doesn't. Quite the scandal. Okay, that time was a little bit better. That time was a little bit, not great, but better. But definitely better. While she's performing too, she sees a man in the audience who has a gorgeous big old pinky ring on his big old pinky finger. And Mae sees this and she's like, oh, we're gonna meet up. And I'm gonna get some nice stuff out of you because this is the Depression. So, you know, if you find a rich man, it could not only could you have like a better life, but like, well, not only could you get like things out of him, but like literally maybe could save your life from what is going on in the country. Because I think you can imagine circus entertainers probably don't make much to begin with, even in 2022. But in 1933, Mary, they're not making anything. They're making probably like a couple bucks a week at most. And Mae, and I forgot to mention that, so we also see the kind of inner workings of the carnival before Tira performs. And we see a character that named Slick, who's kind of Tyra's boyfriend. It's kind of more of convenience for Tira, but I think Slick really likes her. By the way, every man loves Tira. Every man falls to his feet for Miss Tira. In the world of Mae West, no one who identifies as male is not attracted to her. Every man is attracted to Mae West's characters in her films. And I like to live on that level of delusion myself. That's one reason why she's such an inspiration to me. And watching this movie, I really appreciate it. And it reminds me so much of a documentary I watched about Mae, which is on YouTube. I can link it below. And I forgot who says this, but someone makes the good point of how Mae West was not really ever meant to be Mae West. She had to like really stand her ground and be the powerhouse that she was. Because when you really break down who Mae West was, especially when she entered Hollywood, she was almost an anti-sex symbol. Her first film she made when she was about 38, 39. She was 40 when this movie came out, which, as you know, as I know, as pretty much anyone who has some sense understands, that when women hit 40, even in 2022, it's looked at as like, okay, like TikTok, your career is done, TikTok, which is wild to me. Oh, I just realized I didn't prime my face. I brought my primer, and I didn't prime my face. Dear Dolly Parton in heaven, please forgive me. Or dear Dolly Parton on earth and in heaven, because you are everywhere, please forgive me for making such an irrational mistake. It was right in front of me. I don't appreciate your offerings that you give me. Amen. Sorry, I'm very religious, as you can tell. Have you prayed to the Lord and Savior Dolly Parton today? Have you? But as I said, yes, she was 40. In Hollywood, she was considered to be a plus-size woman, which, sure, Jan. She wasn't considered to be, like, a typical beauty. She wasn't considered to be the type of beauty that Hollywood is used to. She, because she had control of her characters and the jokes, and she was able to be like, I'm not even going to pretend like I'm not the most beautiful woman who's ever strutted onto celluloid. She made us believe that she was a sex symbol. And that, to me, is what an S symbol is. Someone who might not be the most conventionally beautiful person in the world or the most, like, societally pretty person in the world, but because they believe that they are the most beautiful human who's ever walked the face of the earth, we start to believe it too. Confidence is the sexiest thing a person can have. And my God, Mae West was literally confident with a capital everything. And my God, am I appreciative for that? Because if you know me, you know I am delusional and have a lot of unwarranted confidence in myself and my beauty. I think I'm one of the most beautiful people who's ever waddled this earth. Oh. But we digress. I was talking about Slick. So Slick is pickpocketing customers from the carnival, but he's instructed to do that by the owner. And I think that also is kind of a tell of the times of how, you know, people are literally doing whatever they can to just survive, even if that means stealing from people that they're already getting money from, which is sad. I mean, it's sketchy and it's icky, but it's also sad, you know. Also, probably after seeing this circus carnival owner throughout the film, probably would have done that anyway, despite the depression, but we digress. And so after the show, Mae, you know, every man is coming up to her. He works there. Tira, when are we going out again? Tira, I miss you. Tira, I'm in love with you. Tira. Ooh, like every man. And Tira goes to see the fortune teller who works in the carnival. Fun fact, Mae West was very into astrology. She relied on it a lot, which I think was really cool, especially for the time period. That's another way that she was ahead of her time, because now astrology is everywhere. It's part of the norm. But people who really followed astrology back then, it was semi-taboo. I think some people kind of looked at it as probably like witchcraft, which, again, sure, Jan. Yes, so she goes to see this fortune teller. He tells her, I see a man in your future, for which she goes, what, only one? And then, you know, he tells her, you know, to be careful tonight. And she's like, thank God I didn't do what the owner of the carnival wanted me to do, which was perform my lion tamer act after her dance number. And so that's what she thinks he's talking about. But we'll see. We'll find out. You know, we're basically just kind of seeing her life in the carnival, how she interacts with everyone, how everyone just loves Tira. And we see another female performer come to her and talk to her about her man trouble. And she's like, dearie, they all, you know, there's fish in the sea. And she opens up her trunk and she shows all the pictures covering her trunk of all her past conquests. And she's showing all the gifts that she has got and then pointing the pictures and just being like, you see that, man? You see that? He bought this. He bought this for me. And then this man, he bought this. Genuine, da-da-da. She likes to say genuine after, like, every gift. It's so funny, especially with her, like, deep Brooklyn accent. I love it. And then she goes off to meet the man with the pinky ring that she saw in the audience. And we're going to refer to him as that Dallas man. And we're back in Mae's apartment hotel room. And they're having drinks, having a good old time. And she's like, so where are you from? And he's like, Dallas. And she's like, 1 second. She goes to her phonograph. She goes through her records. And we get a shot of the records. And we see Tira has recorded herself singing a song which is entitled That Blank Man. Nothing Like My Blank Man. And it's each album, each vinyl is of different cities. So it would be like, That Cleveland Man, That New York Man, That San Francisco Man. And this man is from Dallas. So she puts on the vinyl like that, Nothing Like My Dallas Man. The player. Mae West was the ultimate player of film. Fight me. Hill I Will Die On. Mae West, player of all players. And she's seducing him. She's getting her way with him until Slick shows up and ruins everything. And the Dallas man automatically is like, oh, this is a ruse. This is a setup. I'm getting out of here. And then Slick crowns him with a vase. And they think that they KO'd him. Tyra's like, I am not going down for you. That's right, Tira. Do not take the rap for any man. You hear that out there? Don't let men take you down. Don't do it. Don't do it. Rat them out if they're going to get you in trouble. Rat them out. And that's on that. So Slick and Tira go back to the carnival, and he's on the run. Cops eventually catch him and arrest him. Meanwhile, Tira goes into her boss's office, and she's like, I'm in big trouble. She calls a lawyer that she knows to help her out. And the owner's like, look, she's like, look, I need money to, make sure that I'm not going to get in trouble. I need money to help Slick out, because Tira's a very giving person. And I don't mean, and that's not a pun. That's not an innuendo. She literally, she'll help anyone. Even if she doesn't really like you, she will help you. And the owner is like, I don't know. He's being a you-know-what. And Tyra's like, I will literally stick my head in the lion's mouth the next time I do the act. Just anything. And then he's like, oh. And then we move on. And Tira has now become a big circus star, a big internationally known lion tameress. And first of all, the outfit, this circus performer outfit, this little marching kind of outfit, it's so cute. All her costumes in this movie, she has 3 iconic costumes. The first one we talked about, this is the second, and we'll talk about the third one once we get to that scene. Excuse me, I can't really talk when I do this. Perfect. Just put on my little beauty mark with what I use for my eyeliner. The eyeliner is from Beauty Bakerie. I'm obsessed with Beauty Bakerie. I'm also going to be using one of their lip lips and Whip Lips and Mon Cheri, which is one of my all-time favorite lips. It stays on the whole day. Does not come off, will not come off on anything. Also a good date lip. Just leave it at that. A very good date lip. But I love you, Beauty Bakerie. If you see this, bonjour, c'est pas. And yes, as I said, Tira has become a big, big star. And she has some admirers coming to see her, some very rich admirers who are men. Shock. We see these men come with their dates, and the dates are like, why are we, well, one date, one of them, Alicia, she's like, oh, why am I here? I don't want to see this person. And the men are like, she's amazing. But really, they're just, horned up for Miss Tira and want to see her perform and do things with whips. And so Tira performs her number. We see her put her head in the lion's mouth, which, catch me, never. And then after the show, we see her in her dressing room, and she is now, we just get the idea that Tira has become a big thing. She's making big money now because of this act, this thing that she's put in her act of putting her gorgeous head in the King of the Jungle's mouth. And Tira now, we're in a dressing room where she has a beautiful dressing gown on. She's got diamonds. She's got flowers everywhere. We meet her housekeeper named Beulah, who we love. We love Beulah. And it's interesting because housekeepers back then also kind of served as assistants and secretaries, what we would know as a personal assistant now. Is kind of what housekeepers also did back then. Very interesting. And these rich people come back to have like their little meet and greet with Tira, even though they didn't pay for it. Rude. Always pay to meet a queen, as I learned from RuPaul's Drag Con. You know, fun fact, those queens have to like buy their own booths. Yeah, so the next time you're like, okay, why am I paying so much to meet these queens? That's why. That's why. Support your queens. Support drag queens. Support drag performers. But we digress. I'm getting off my pink glittery soapbox now and having a sip of Joe. And everyone is singing her praises except Alicia. Alicia's just rude off the bat. And Tira goes in. It's so good. Mae West really was a shade queen. She like goes over to her to shake her hand, and she's trying to be friendly, and she shakes her hand, Tira. And then after she shakes her hand, she wipes her hand on her clothes, and she's like, And Alicia is very offended, and she's like, I'm out of here. I don't have to stand for this. Oh. And she leaves. And everyone else stays and just, you know, compliments her. A Mae West vehicle is kind of like Barbra Streisand and Funny Girl. Everyone is, there are other people there, but they're really there for, you know, to just lift her up in her performance. But instead of singing, it's jokes. So everyone's there to do the setups for Mae West so she can give her one-liners, no matter who you are. Whether you're one of the dudes who work in the circus, or if you're one of these rich people who are coming backstage to say hi to her. You're just really there for Mae West to bounce off her most legendary one-liners too. And, you know, not a bad gig if you ask me, personally, professionally. And Mae and all these people, you know, like I said, they're talking, they're chatting. One of them, the guy that's there with Alicia, who's her fiancé, leaves his cane behind some flowers on purpose. And he comes back later to be like, oh, I forgot my cane, and runs and gets it where he left it. And he's like, I did this on purpose. I wanted to come back here. And Tyra's like, had a feeling you would. Had a feeling. I mean, it's me. It is me, Tira. Who can resist? After he leaves, she closes the door, and then she hears outside Alicia talking that smack about Miss Tira, and Miss Tira is not having it. And so she takes a glass that is filled with water, lugs, holds it in her face, opens the door, and just spits it out at her. And I will say, let me preface, I'm not one for violence. I would not. I'm not a physical fighter. I fight with this. But if someone spit at me water like that, normally, I'm on the person who got spat on side. I'm like, that's when you can choose violence. That's when you can wake up and choose violence. Because it's Tira, and because Alicia is the worst, we let it slide. Some people do get the exception in my book, and this is the exception to this rule. So we move on, and Tira now has, within a week, she has this dude. Like, she has a full sugar daddy now. And within a week, she is in a penthouse. She has more diamonds. She's got more gorgeous gowns. And we get a full shot of her apartment. This apartment is just so beautiful. It's like the epitome of 1930s Art Deco. This house is just absolutely spectacular. And the best part is there's this like tiered table. We see this table covered in pictures of all the men in her life, whether she had affairs, rendezvous with these gentlemen, or if they've just been in her life. And next to each picture is an animal that describes the dude in the picture. So like her boss, there's her former boss from the circus, there's a skunk next to him. Iconic. We stand. We stand. That is Queen, Queen behavior. I live. And during this, it's a music number, and she sings this song called I Got a New Way of Going to Town. And she's singing this while she's like reclining on like a silk chaise lounge. And while she's getting this done, Beulah and two other housekeepers, one of them played by future Academy Award-winning groundbreaking icon Hattie McDaniel, is, you know, doing her nails, massaging her. It's very It is cringe because it is, you know, it's just this white woman who's being pampered by these black women and talking about all of her, you know, jewelry and diamonds and jewelry and diamonds, tomato clamato, and, you know, her gowns and how she now has this rich man who's able to buy her all these things. And they're just smiling and they're, you know, they're there to like you know, set up her punchlines, set up her one-liners, like everyone else in the movie. But it's just, you know, it's, especially because in another world, this scene should have been just Mae kikiing with friends, you know what I mean? And I don't, you know, it's just like, the times, they suck. The times today suck. But then, I mean, like, why can't people of different races just be friends? Why can't we just, like, And the production code wasn't even, like, in effect. Like, come on. Come on. But we digress. And after this song, after this number, Alicia presents herself with unannounced at Tyra's doorstep. And Tyra's like, I know what she's doing. I know why she's come. And Alicia's come and basically is, you know, shaming her and, you know, saying, like, I want my man back, give me my man back. And she's like, and Tyra's like, cute, and throws her out. And that's where we get the line, like, you'll peel me a grape. And every person in Tyra's sugar daddy's life is fully concerned. And so one of his friends, goes to see a man named Jack, played by Cary Grant, and he's a big-time lawyer. And they all are like, you need to go and talk to Tyra and tell her she needs to find someone else to pay the bills and pay her lifestyle. Because she is a hussy, I say, a hussy. So Jack goes to see her with the intent of, you know, doing so. But instead, like, you know, every man can't resist the charms of Miss Tyra. In this scene, we get my favorite costume. My favorite. She's wearing this black nightgown with this black robe that has encrusted, jeweled, gorgeous, probably, you know, fake diamonds, rhinestones. That's what they are. Rhinestoned design that looks like spider webs. This doesn't fan me, but like, so beautiful. Those three looks, the three looks I've described, some of my all-time favorite film costumes ever. I believe they were done by Travis Banton. I believe that would make sense because he was, at the time, the head costume designer at Paramount. And, you know, a big star like Mae West deserves nothing but the top designer at the time, so would make sense. Yeah, Edith Head wasn't the top designer at Paramount then, so yeah, it would be Travis Banton. I'm 90% sure. I will correct myself if I am wrong. Right here, it will say, right here, if I'm wrong, something will come up saying like, they're wrong, it's this person, But yeah, Travis Banton, chef's kisses. And pretty soon, Jack and Tyra are in love. And he and her are going out, they're going on dates, they're having cute little interludes. This is when they come home from a night out, this is when we get the line, when I'm good, I'm very, excuse me, sorry, let me say it right. Shoulders back, V's up. When I'm good, I'm very good. But when I'm bad, I'm better. If only I was allowed to have that as my senior quote in my yearbook in high school. But this is when conflict really starts to happen, because we start to see everyone in Jack's life be concerned, which, you know, in one way it's like, okay, fine, whatever, I get it. But also, like, Tyra's actually genuinely in love with Jack. So she is, you know, it's like, yes, he's a rich man, but he is gorgeous and she loves him. Doesn't really give much other reason than that, but whatever. We start to see some things happen behind the scenes to break Jack and Tyra up. For example, Slick is out of prison. He's out of the big house. And we see some people in Jack's life come together to get Slick and be like, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to sneak you in to Tyra's apartment while she's out, and we're going to, like, flatten her tires, work. We're going to tell Jack to go up to the apartment, and you're going to be there in silk pajamas. Yes, silk. And it's gonna just look like Tira is having, it's gonna look like they're in cahoots as they used to be. And that's exactly what happens. And Jack leaves Tira. They're actually engaged by this point. And in the next scene, after all this happens, Tira is in her home, in her boudoir, trying on a wedding gown, veil and all. And by the way, when like a bride puts on a veil, like that's how you know they're serious. Like that's how you know they found the dress. I've never watched Say Yes to the Dress, but like when the veil is on, game is over. And Tira is telling Beulah like how much she loves him and how she's never felt this way before and just how life is just roses, you know, and sunshine and lollipops and everything that is just, you know, happiness. And then she gets the call that's like, Jack is basically left. He's out of town. He's not coming back. And when he does, don't expect him back. And Tira basically then takes him to court for desertion. And, you know, this scene, this courtroom scene is really fascinating to me because on one hand, it's just so telling. And I will tell you why it's so telling in a minute. I'm going to put on my lipstick and then the whole face will be done. And yeah, be right back. Oh, hi. Didn't see you there. Started studying my face since the last time I saw y'all. This is also from Beauty Bakerie. Big Beauty Bakerie fan, as I said. But we digress. So, as I said, this courtroom scene is very telling because the defense is really trying to S-shame Tira by bringing all her past suitors, everyone she's ever known, and they're basically trying to prove that she's a gold-digging hussy. And Tira eventually becomes her own lawyer and cross-examines all these people and is like, didn't I help you out with this? Why would I need you when I got this? How about, like, yes, you gave me this, but did you have to? Did I ever ask you to give me anything while delivering one-liner after one-liner? And it's funny because she gives her line, everyone in the court, the jury, the judge even, like, is cackling. And as she does it, she does these, like, it's like a lap. Like, she's like a winner's lap. Like, she's like, oh, I made them laugh. Oh, I got them. Oh. Like, it's just so funny. And finally, as it goes on, as the trial goes on, we start to see Jack change his mind. We start to see that he understands that he was being played, that Tira really does love him. And we find out Tira still loves him when Beulah is called to the stand. And Tira's like, why do they got you up here? And she's like, they called me. I don't know. I'm here. And so Tira's like, you've been around me. You tell them. Tell them the truth. Go off. Beulah goes off and talks up to the point that Tira's like, okay, now you're like, my reputation's at stake. Calm down with the gushiness. Because Beulah's just like, I've never seen her like in love before. And Tira is in love with this man. And that's when Jack's like, okay, we're done. Get for what you want. I'm done. I plead the guilt. Guilt I plead. And Tira wins her case. Reporters line up because she is famous, so it's a famous case. And, you know, again, these reporters really are just there to bounce off one-liners for Mae, or to set up the one-liners. And one female reporter, the only female reporter in the whole room, which I think is probably on purpose, knowing Mae West, says, you know, like, how do you keep up with all these men in your life? And then she gives the famous line, another very famous line of Mae West is, it's not the men in your life that counts, dearie, it's the life in your men. The men in your life should have life in them. Should be. They should be alive, too. They should be alive, but we digress. And so we go back to Mae's apartment, and she's escorting out the judge, because again, no fella can resist the charms of Miss Tira. And he leaves, and soon after, Jack comes back, and he's like, I'm sorry, I love you, forgive me. And she's like, oh, forgive him. Well, she doesn't say that, but basically that's the gist. And she starts to sing a song, and she can't finish the song because they start to... And that's how this movie ends, you guys. Oh my god, we got through it. The second episode, we got through it. How's everyone doing? Are you still with me? You still here? I'm still queer. I'm still queer. I want to thank everyone who has stuck around. Comment something below that you stuck around. Let's think of something. Just put in a bunch of like O's. You stuck around this long, put a bunch of O's in. That's how I'll know you stayed around this whole time. Please like and subscribe to the channel. If you are interested in watching I'm No Angel, unfortunately, it is nowhere for streaming. You kind of have to either get a DVD or... I'm not going to encourage you to dig deep to find this movie, but sometimes you have to dig deep to watch some of these classic pieces of iconic films. That made no sense, but I think it made sense. That wasn't proper grammar. I was raised in the Texas education system. Leave me alone. Oh, had to. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will link everything that I said I was going to below, including what I'm wearing on my face in case you like what you see. I'm not gonna lie. I'm happy. And I'm ready to go to work. I'm ready to go to work. I'm ready to go to work. Oh, I'm ready to work. Oh. I can't with myself. Anyway, have a good day or a good evening. Whenever you're just watching this, I hope you're good. One more time. Oh. Mwah.